welcome to That Girl Speaks. Today is Tuesday, April 5th, and this is episode 313. I've done 10 years worth of these episodes. What is that about? I'm Amy Beth, also known as the Fat Squirrel on Ravelry, and the Fat SQRRL on Instagram. Hi, how are you? I hope you are doing well, as can be expected. Thank you so much for being patient. I was supposed to record last week. I had a bit of a tumble, like literally. I mean, I've had so many mental tumbles, it's not even funny, right? It's true. But Wednesday, I started taking a printmaking class. I'm so excited about it. I have always, well, since I did my, oh my gosh, should I show it to you? Oh my gosh, let's just show it to you. I'll be right back. Okay, so, yeah, this podcast about knitting, but quite frankly, it's only like 4% knitting. So, it's 96% me, y'all. And some of you just keep coming back. But anyway, since I was, I think in my senior year of high school, yes, I want to say my senior year of high school, I would never take art because, okay, like confessions. I have issues. If you're new, you're like, that's very vulnerable, and thank you. If you're not new, you're like, we clearly knew. But I had really serious issues when I was in high school, in like my non-tracked classes where it was just like gen pop, because I have a lot of, I understand now more, I understand slightly more now that I have like some stimulation issues, but I did not know that then. All I knew was that I could not stand when people were not doing what they were supposed to do. I say that like it's in the past. But like it really made me so severely anxious before I knew anxious was a word that you could use to describe that feeling. So I didn't take art until I was like a senior because I thought at that point, like I might have some sort of like, what do we call that? Seniority. And like, I might be able to just like put my head down and deal with it. And also I knew some other people that were going to take the class. So like, so I took it finally as a senior in high school. And, we did, one of the things you do traditionally is you do linoleum prints, right? Like where you carve out the linoleum. And if you don't know what that is, I don't have a piece of it here. It's basically like this gray sort of like carvable substance it's on like a Hessian backing, or sometimes it's actually on like a wood block. And you just carve it out and you make a essentially what would be called a stamp, unless you're fancy, in which case you call it a lino cut. But I made these owl's eyes. Now this is actually an embossment because that's one of the cool things that you can do with a linoleum versus like your, like now there's lots of fun things that you can carve that are a little bit easier to carve. Like they kind of are like almost like an eraser consistency and they work really well. But you can't do an embossing with them as far as I know because they would just compress too much. But this is my embossing where I did it. I think it's just, yes, it's an embossing. And then I washed it with like the burgundy, like a watered down burgundy paint. And then I want to say, maybe I spray painted it gold first. That's probably what I did. I spray painted it gold first. That's definitely what I did. And then washed it with a paint, and then like rubbed off the surfaces that were raised. And I just thought I was the bee's knees. Now, I am a knitter, and I know that some of you will identify with this. I consider myself a person that, I would not necessarily call myself artistic because...
Sorry, could you say that again? My apologies.
I would not necessarily call myself artistic or even creative-ish. I don't know why, but for me, like I always like to create within like a known boundary. So knitting works really well for me. Like I know the rules. I know, like, usually I'm working with a pattern. And so I'm happy to, like, work within that pattern to make changes or substitutions. But I like having, like, a system there for me to work within. So the way I made my owl eyes, this is, okay, so if you're young, y'all, just take a knee. This is before there were, like, scanning options for computers, like, this was dot matrix times. There might have been a laser printer but I did not. I made the owl eyes because I found a picture of an owl, like a photo of an owl in like an encyclopedia or something, a newspaper. I don't know where it was from. And then I took it next door. My mom had a flower shop. My mom was a florist. And next door to us, there was, for some reason, a copy machine, like that you used to like pay. You could put like a dime in for a copy or something. And now I don't remember why that. I feel like it was like a video store. Why did it have a Xerox machine? I don't know, but it did. Whatever it was. So I went over and like what I did is I just started like bumping up the contrasts and I just kept like copying it over and over and over again so that it would become a black and white image versus like a grayscale image. And then I used that to transfer it onto the linoleum and cut it. You really wanted to know the process, right? You like going down memory lane with me. I know you do. But yeah, so I've always been really proud of it. You can tell it's like actually like, I think, no, that's right. It was not, I did get this matted and framed. Like I actually paid, because I'm a fancy lady now. But I was like really proud of it. I was like, I'm so fancy. It was in like my high school art show, I want to say. I don't remember for sure, but I think. But anyway. So I've always loved it. And like, I know how to do it. Like, it's not that complicated and a thing to do. But sometimes I just need a reason to do things. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just need that extra push, that extra motivation, that extra oomph to like get me to do something. And so I'm taking a class about doing printmaking on fabric specifically. Yay! Because that's really what I want to do. Okay, so like back up. Okay, so this is why I'm late. That's what I'll talk about the actual class later. So Wednesday, I was going to record a podcast, or maybe it was Thursday, but I don't remember. But anyway, Wednesday, I was going to record on Thursday. I went to my class on Wednesday, got out of my class just like a few minutes early, and I was so excited because I was going to go pick up my bicycle because I took it in to get just a tune-up, which I think I told you about last time. Okay, so I go in, the people at the bicycle shop are super nice, they're lovely. I walk out, I'm walking my bike, like I'm walking next to my bike to go put it in my car. And like, my husband has given me some grace and been like, well, honey, that parking lot does have kind of like a weird slope to it. And like, it's like a slope this way and this way. Like, it's not even just like a one plane slope. It's like multi. And I'm like, I'm walking the bike and something happened. I don't know if I was just like obviously I lost my balance. Like the bike got too far away from my body. And then like, I ended up on my face. You can't see it now, I don't think. But like I busted my lip, which is now healed, yay. I busted my nose. I even wear I was wearing these glasses, which are now scratched. Boo. But like hooray for Zenny, because I can get a replacement if I want to, and it will cost me like $35. Like what a magical world we live in. But I even have like a bust here from where the like nose piece smashed into my face. I have like, again, this is now like a week old or like 5 days old. I got road rash on my arm. My knee got all busted up, even though I was wearing jeans. Like my knee's got like a huge bruise on it. I mean, I am totally fine. I mean, clearly as fine as I can be. My hands are all like, I look like I got in a fist fight. That's what my kid said. The teen was like, Mom, you look like you punched somebody. And I was like, yeah, the ground. And let me just tell you, I'm the one that's worse for wear. And so I fall, I don't know, somehow I'm falling. And then like I'm flat on the ground. The bike is on the ground next to me. The bike is totally fine, FYI. Wouldn't that be an annoying thing if I had like just taken it to get a tune up and then had to walk back up inside? So I'm laying on the ground, like, can I move? Am I able to move? And that's like, yes, okay, pop up. Because, you know, you have that immediately like, okay, who saw me fall? Because the lady who owns the bike shop, like, walked me to the door and, like, opened the door and, like, I walked out. So I'm like, please don't let her be coming to, like, rescue me because I will die of embarrassment. Luckily, she's, like, super high energy, so she must have just, like, turned right back around and went right back in. Or she was looking out the window and was like, oh no, we are not going to encourage this woman to sue us. Not that I would have anything to sue them for. It was my fault. Either way, luckily, she did not, like, come out and, like, duck over me and, whoa, and because that would have been, like, okay, it would not have been good. So luckily, only the random people driving by on a major road saw me. So I pop up and, like, I'm dripping, like I don't know what I've done. Like, I know that I'm hurting, but, like, I could see blood on my shirt and on my bike. And I'm like, oh no. So I just get to my car, put my bike in my car, get in the front, and I have totally chipped my middle, like, in the middle of my two front teeth. I've chipped, like, it's not fallen out, but I can feel the crack on the inside of my mouth and on the outside. And it's not big. It's fairly, whatever. It's a chip in your tooth. It's big enough that you would see it if it came out. And so I immediately call my dentist, like, I need to get it. Because I'm like, what if that falls out and there's, like, a nerve right there? I don't know how teeth work. Like, I know how the back teeth work, because you always see pictures of your molars, like, you know, images of molars with, like, the root and, like, but, like, what the front teeth? Like, I don't know what they're doing. Where is I don't know. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, what if this little chip falls out and then there's, like, a nerve just, like, like, operation style, like, just hanging out of my face. It's like, oh, I'm like, I need to come in. It's not an emergency. It's just really important. So luckily they got me in the next morning. I had to get a temporary filling to cover it. And then I realized, like, wait, did she put a temporary filling on there just for aesthetics? Because in my mind, it was like to help me protect the tooth. Whatever, it's done. It doesn't matter now. But then they're like, yeah, they did all the x-rays and stuff. And then they're like, unfortunately, this is just kind of like a wait and see situation. We see that this, like, the nerve looks a little bit inflamed on this side. And I'm like, what? It's inflamed? This only happened like 12, not even, oh no, I guess it happened like 18 hours ago or something. And I'm all like, oh. She's like, so yeah, you know, if something, they have to make an appointment in 2 weeks. And I don't know if she was telling me, like, this might happen before that 2 weeks, or, like, this would be what would happen if I didn't get taken care of. She's like, you know, if the root is compromised, then your tooth will just turn black. And I'm like, ha! I don't want that. So this is my moneymaker, lady. So you have to go back and see if my nerve, because then I might do a root canal in my front tooth. That does not, I don't like the sound of that at all. Do not like the sound of that at all. So keep your fingers crossed for me. I don't want to do root canal my front tooth. Anyway. But I really am okay. All that was hurt was my tooth and, like, my ego, pretty much. I mean, I was walking my bike and I fell on my face. Like, fully on my, again, busted my lip. Luckily, my lip protected my teeth in some way. Oh my gosh. Not even a cool story. I mean, funny story, not a cool story. I was like, oh, I can only now, I'm like, now I gotta buy a bike helmet and a mouth guard. I can never. Luckily, my husband's like, do you want to just go on a bike ride yesterday? And I was like, you know what, I should. And I felt, like, kind of secure because he was there. So that was good. And, like, we did just do a short circuit, but I felt like, okay. Like, Maybe something weird happened over the winter and my equilibrium broke. I don't know. Do you know how that works? I don't know how teeth work. I don't know how equilibriums work. But I'm fine now. And my bike's happy. It's a good bike. I mean, the road damaged me, but not my bike. But, so that's the reason I'm behind, and I appreciate you all. I did send a note out on Patreon that was like, oh, I'm sorry. They got to see a beautiful picture of me in the dentist chair with my nose scuffed up and my lip busted and my hair looking super beautiful. Oh my god, and then I got a haircut. Bam. Okay, so, like, I don't know how to fix it yet. Like, I think since I had short hair, like, I've always had, well, not always, but, like, most of my adult life, I've had some version of this haircut. But, like, since then, things have happened technologically, and, like, she did something to my hair that made it look super cute. I didn't see her because I wasn't wearing my glasses, and also, where my fat's at. Do you hate stylist chairs so much? What? I can sit in so many chairs. I know there are some chairs I can't sit in, but, like, I can sit in chairs, and, like, I obviously was able to sit in the chair, but, like, what happens in that chair that suddenly, like, I go from being me to being, like, a cube? Like, this is how I am in this stylish chair. Like, something about it, like, it's like shapewear gone wrong. Like, I mean, all shapewear is kind of wrong, but whatever. No judging. But, like, it's like it squeezes your body, like, together and up in this, like, and then, of course, on top of it, there's a giant mirror in front of you. So it's just like, she totally thought she was cutting my hair so that it would be this long. I actually wanted it this long. But then she was like, do you want that flip thing to happen? And I was like, oh, I guess not. I don't know. I just want it to be shorter, lady. I know I'm like, in that way that I mean that, like, I trust you to do your thing because you know what you're doing and I have no idea. But, like, she was totally was thinking she was going to cut it, I think, like, this long. But, like, again, because I'm sitting like this, well, that's exactly how long it is. Why is that chair so weird? It's not just theirs. It's I've never sat in a stylish chair where, like, this was not how my body was presented. I don't know what happened. It's very weird. Maybe it's just because, like, I don't feel comfortable to, like, you know, like, adjust myself and stuff, but I don't know, something weird's happened in those chairs. Does anybody else agree? And, like, don't get me wrong, I have a full-length mirror in my bedroom that I often stand in front of naked. Like, so it's not like I'm like, I don't know what's happening, but I guess I stand in front of it naked, not sit in a weird chair that compresses my body into a cube naked. Oh my god, thank god you have to be naked for a haircut. I'd be Lady Godiva in it everywhere. But, like, so, okay, so, like, that, and then, like, of course, like, love, the stylist I had was lovely, she was super lovely, but she was also, like, this big, and then, like, it's just, like, a lot to process. But anyway, so I wasn't looking with my because I have my glasses off so she can cut my hair. And then also I'm just kind of not really in my body because, like, it's just too much happening. Do you do that sometimes? You're just like, I know that an Ewok did not come in and cut my hair, but also I could not tell you anything that happened. So, like, so she did something super cute to it, and then I'm like, okay, now I have to, like, find YouTube videos to figure out how to do this. It's madness. Sorry, there's a garbage truck, you might hear that. But so anyway, so I have to learn to play with it, but for right now, I feel so much better with shorter. Ah, it's too fluffy right now. I think I was thinking I was doing a good thing by blowing it dry, but I think I did it like we did in the night, like in the 2000s, and I think I made it too volumey. But I'm very excited about having my hair short again. I feel like a human. And it was so great because the salon that opened, they've actually been open for a while and I just didn't know. They're like within walking distance. And I don't know why that changes getting a haircut from being a chore to a treat, but somehow it does, and I'm going with it. It's just so fun. I was like, oh, I gotta go walk to my haircut. Boop, 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 boop. It's not even like a pretty walk. It's literally like super sketchy looking. Whatever, it's still fun. Yay! So, yeah. Good haircut. What else? How do teeth even work? That's on my list of things to talk about. Oh, the fiber event. So the fiber event is in Greencastle. I'm going to be there on Saturday. I'm taking a class in the morning, so I thought we would do a meetup at 12:30. And what we'll do it in the 4-H building. It's an open-sided, I think the back, whatever. It's like an open-sided building. So like as you drive into the fiber event, there's like barns to your left. There's a barn to your right. And the 4-H building is like a little open building that's just like up and to your left a little bit. I feel like it was red last time, but yeah, so we'll be there like 12:30ish. I'll bring some extra chairs. I will try to bring some extra chairs. So yeah, I hope to see you there. If any of you that are coming would like a brother serger, so like just like the like $200-ish one, $240-ish one, it needs to be repaired. I misaligned the cutting knife, and I was just like, you know what? I need a new serger. I'm getting fancy now. I need a new one. Okay, I want a new serger. I don't need a new serger, but so I have this one, and if you would like to have it, and you would obviously need to take it to get a repair, and it will probably be like $100-ish, or unless you know somebody who does it, or you feel like you're super crafty and you can do it yourself. But yeah, just let me know in the drop down, or like, down in the notes or whatever, and I'll totally bring it with me and you can have it. So yeah. Are you excited? I'm so excited. I went to Indiana Artisans Marketplace this weekend with a couple of friends here, and it's just like an Indiana collective of artisans that they've traditionally done it in the spring, but I've never gone. And then of course last 2 years they've not had it because of COVID rates and whatnot. But this year they had it, and I was kind of like, oh, I don't know, but it'll sound like just like a nice thing to do to get out and do something. It was so lovely. I don't have my basket. I bought a basket that I'm really in love with. But it was just like it was in like the ag building of our state fair. And so I was kind of like, oh, is that going to be just like 4 booths? But it was actually a perfect size. It was enough that like there was a good amount of variety. Of course, there were lots of potters and jewelry people, but there were also, again, this guy who does oak baskets. There were quite a few people who did like wood carving. Some people who did like truncheons. Is that what that, like, like shallow, narrowish vessels. And then there were lots of other wood people, and there was a couple of like fine art people. I get so weirded out about that whole fine art thing. Craft versus art versus, ugh, it feels so scummy. Actually, I don't feel scummy about it. I just feel scummy about it when other people get scummy about it. How about that? That's how I feel. There's just like so much snobbery involved. I don't care for it. But anyway, like I was talking to somebody about her friend she was talking about her friend's artwork that was going to be on display in some place, and she was telling me what it was, and I was like, oh, that sounds so interesting. And then I related it to something else. She was like, well, I mean, she's fine art. Because she was operating in a medium that could be craft or could be fine art. And it was like she had to really like hammer it home like 3 to 4 times that it was fine art. And I'm like, not that I don't care, but like I don't care about the distinction. Like, settle down. But anyway, so what were we talking about? Oh yeah, this is some fine artists. was really lovely. And oh my gosh, there was this one potter. What were they called? Bee high. I want to say I took a picture. I didn't take a picture of the thing because you don't want to be like, hey, I'd like to take a picture of this, because clearly that could be really bad and people could be copying things and whatnots. But Bee Tree Pottery, they do early, and they're in Posey County. How is that? Early American redware, Southern folk pottery, contemporary stoneware, and early American original something or other. I can't read it because their design is blocked by something else. Oh, I was really into it. There was this plate, and it was like more like a charger size. Like it probably was like an 11 or 12. It was a decorative piece. It was not a practical piece. But it had this like leaping rabbit on it, and it was just two colors. So it was just like the redware and then slip. Maybe it was black. It was. So the redware didn't show. It was redware, and then the surface was slipped black, and then the design of the rabbit was white, or the other way around. I can't remember. All I know is I loved it. So cool. It was kind of like, okay, so then of course I became obsessed and was like, I need to do everything about in this style. So like, for example, here is just like an image search from Google on, I think, like early American redware or something like that. Okay, my boobs are in the way and I can't get any closer. Come on, focus. There we go. So it's not exactly like that in any way, but that's sort of the style-ish. I loved it. Ooh. But I did not buy that plate. I felt like I deserved some sort of medal for not buying that plate. Luckily, I was with friends who are pretty like reasonable human beings. If anybody would have even been like, you know what, you really should get that, I'd been like, all right, you're right, I'll just get it. Luckily, they would have been like, really? But it was so nice just to like get out and like see some different creative things and like talk to a few people, which was lovely. But like just like get that kind of energy back of like, oh yeah, like get your brain firing in a different place. And again, you search all of the Googles for images, and it was just lovely. So I'm excited about Greencastle for that very same reason. And also I'll get to see some of your faces. Yay. Also, I think it's official today. I think it'll be official by the time you see this. I'm going to SSK this year. So I'm going to go ahead and announce that I've been vending at the Super Summer Knit Together, which is hosted by the Knit Girls. It's July 24th. I'd say end of July. It's in Nashville, Tennessee. And I will be both attending as a student and vending. So it's the 20th through the 24th. Excuse me. So if you're going, I'll see your face. Yay! What else? Oh my gosh. Okay, I gotta go. I'll be right back. Boom. Okay. So also, since the last time we spoke, my kitchen life has been crushed because I saw a thing on Instagram that basically had a picture of this plate. And it was like, do not use these plates. They contain lead. And I was like, really? I've got to shut this person down and tell them to stop spreading silly news. So I'm snoping, and then like Snopes is like inconclusive, and I'm searching and I'm searching. Apparently these dishes contain lead. Because Corel has even, which is who made these plates, has even announced that you should not use their plates that were made before 2005 because they may contain lead. Now, obviously, like, my grandmother used these plates for my entire life, and I'm fairly positive that nobody had lead poisoning or lead toxicity. And I think that it's just in the decorative elements. It's not just these. There's like the golden ones and like the whole thing. But like my teen is so invested in these, like this is like the plates that we've had their entire life. And so even my teen was like, I was considering getting this as a tattoo. And I was like, well, A, you still should, and I should get one and we should match because that's sweet. But so like obviously I'm like, if you're using the plates and you're like aware of it and you're just like, dude, we're fine. That's you do you. But I was like, oh, can I like give my kid food on this plate now that I know that it's like, I think I'm too anxious a person to be able to do that. I was like, dang it. So then that led to the teen telling me that our water definitely has lead in it. And I was like, well, I want to see the thing that says it has lead in it. And so the teen was like, boop, 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 boop. And like pulled up some like big survey of like, you can find your like water quality by zip code. And while our water does not have more lead than is like permissible, it might have like 40 times more than is like suggested. Dang it. So then I had to go on this whole thing about like my teenager school, I'm going to just be honest with you, is not good. I'm sorry. Overall. But they have had good experiences. And one of those good experiences is with this environmental class that they had that was about different environmental topics. And one of them was water and water safety and like public water works. And they first learned this information there. And then like, and the teacher was talking about like what water filtration systems are work best and like all of this. And I was like, well, we do filter our water. And so traditionally we have used a Brita filter that uses like that hard plastic filter. But about 2 years ago, I want to say, we have like a one that we put in the fridge, like a filter that we put in the fridge, you know, like and it has like a spigot on it. About 2 years ago, ours broke. Like it got a crack in the side and started leaking. So we got a new one. And it has, instead of having that hard plastic thing now, it has like a soft, it's almost like, I don't know what it is. Whatever. It's not hard plastic. And originally I was just like, oh, cool. Less plastic that I have to throw away. I didn't think to look to see if it was like the same quality of filtration. It's not. It doesn't filter lead. The plastic, from what I could see on Brita's website, the hard plastic ones do, but these don't. I'm like, what? What do you make in a water filter that does not filter lead? What? So then I accidentally had to buy. So the kid told me the water filter that the teacher recommended, and I did all the research on it. I was like, fine. We're buying a ridiculous water filter that takes up room on our counter and is like obnoxious. It's a Berkey. Do you know what those are? It's banana pants, but I'm totally into it. It has, instead of having like, because the Brita and like some other things have like granulated charcoal filters, Berkeys have like a solid charcoal like cylinder that the water gets filtered through. And there's also like a system for testing to make sure your water filtration is still working properly. And it's like a really high upfront cost. Well, it's a high upfront cost, but the filters only have to replace like every 60,000 gallons or something. Like so your filters are going to last for a good long time. The bad thing about it is that it does take up a good sized footprint on the kitchen counter, and like it cannot, I could not put it in my refrigerator. It would be ridiculous because it's like 21 inches tall, I want to say, because what it is like basically you fill a 2.5 gallon cylinder with water, and that's what has the filters in it, and then you put that on top of like the receiving chamber where you actually get the water out. So yeah. But if you're concerned about plastics or anything, like the whole thing is metal, I got a metal spigot on it primarily because it said it had a faster flow rate, and that's actually important to me because I have no patience. But yeah, dang it. So not only are we out all of our precious dishes, now I had to buy a giant water filter too. What the heck? Again, I'm not judging you if you're like, dude, whatever, we're fine. My grandparents have been fine. Everybody's fine. I'm not like, and you can feel free to judge me in your brain, but don't like judge me on paper below this thing because that's annoying. But feel free to judge me in your brain for being paranoid. That's fine. So yeah, like kitchen trauma. Oh my gosh, it didn't even offer you tea or anything. I'm just having water because I just ate my pizza beans for lunch, and so I'm feeling like I have got some stuff happening in my body. Like I feel full. I don't want anything else. Do you know what pizza beans are? You can just Google them. I feel like Smitten Kitchen has a recipe. Do they have a recipe? But maybe I'm just making something up. Basically, it's just like good beans. Like white beans, like big white beans. You can use canned beans too. You can use any sort of bean, quite frankly. It's basically like beans and pasta and spaghetti sauce, but with some cheese, and then you like get the cheese crusty. Oh, it's delicious and so easy. Spin Kitchen does have a pizza beans recipe. That's what I'm saying. And the nice thing is you can make them up as a casserole, like if you're making it for your family meal or whatever, or for like company. But what I do is I just do I cook up the beans, because I usually like to use dry beans because like I just am ridiculous, and like it's a good reason to use my Instant Pot. And then you get to use fun beans from like Rancho Gordo, which always a favorite. So like you just cook up your beans, and I just cook up the beans and then like take off whatever water I need to from them, cook them down, whatever. And then I just add in like tomato sauce or spaghetti sauce, like whatever you want to do. You do you. And then I just put that either in the refrigerator, or if I've made like a whole pound of beans and I don't think I'm going to really get to them all, I'll like put half of it in the freezer and half of it in the refrigerator. And then like for my lunch, I just put some beans in like a ramekin and put a little cheese on it and pop it under the broiler for a few minutes, and I've got yummy lunch. So yummy. I really do want to do some dried beans this year. Maybe that's what I'll do. I just saw a cardinal fly by. I visited my friend in Berea this weekend. We played Isle of Cats. It was very fun. Well, it was very fun for me, and my friend didn't kick me out. I'll show it to you. Maybe I'll show it to you next time. I don't have it handy. It is like a polyomino game where you're rescuing cats. So, okay, I'll just show it to you right now. So it's called the Isle of Cats, and I think it's 1 to 4, but there's a 5 to 6 player expansion. If you're wanting to play it with young people, they do have to be able to read, because quite a few of the cards have text on them. So let's see. They recommend. Oh, there is a family mode. I forgot about that. So their normal mode is 60 to 90 minutes, 12 and up. But there's a family mode for 2 to 4 players. It's only 30 to 60 minutes, and it's ages 8 and up. And this also offers a solo variant. So if you want to just play on your solo-ness, and if you've seen anything but board games, inside, this is the cat setup. So the cat's supposed to sit in this box. If you have a pet cat, you should place it here while playing the Isle of Cats. Right? They know what they're doing. But anyway, it's terribly charming, and the cats are super cute. I'm not even a cat fan, but these polyominoes are so cute. So you have like lots of, see, the cats are like all on their little polyominoes, and you need to rescue them and save them from the Lord Evil Man. It's very charming and very cute, and it involves both like some little bit of luck because you're pulling cats out of a bag. There's treasure, but there's also some card drafting. And yeah, it was the first time we played it, but it was pretty enjoyable. It's been out, I think, since 2019, I want to say. And I really wanted to get it then, but I finally broke down when I found out my friend likes puzzly looking games. And so I was like, well, mean, clearly now I have to buy it. And then this is the other charmingest thing, is that like you get some wood cats for different purposes. And like they could not be more charming. Like you have your traditional little like, yeah. But then there's also like kitty cats and kitty cats. Yeah. And they're very cute. I enjoyed it. I think we'll definitely enjoy it. I'm going to play it with again because like there were certain, just like anything, I think the first time you play it is a little bit of like, what is the strategy I should be going with? Is this the card I should keep? Especially since there's like card drafting involved where you're like trying to establish your points later in the game. But it was very enjoyable. Oof. Ta. So yes. Okay, I think that's all the stuff. So then, oh, I will show you the things I made in my printmaking class. Okay, so first, the first non-introduction class, the first class where we're like actually doing stuff. The teacher wanted us to do just like found objects printing. So this would be called stamping if you weren't trying to be fancy. But I guess because we used like brayers and block printing ink, it was called but it was still enjoyable. So here are some of my fabrics that I made. What? This is cauliflower and ramen. So like the little like the small like kind of ricey texture is ramen, and then the big guys are cauliflower. And then, oh, this one is all celery. So you like cut the celery, like you're using like the root end of it. Or you're cutting it and like holding the root in and stamping with, well, printing with the other part. So this is my celery piece. And then, what's this one? Oh, this one. Okay, so this one I used a granny square, which I inked, and then so that's kind of the granny square. And then do you see that kind of like starbursty kind of thing? That's like a cotton, you know how like cotton yarn comes on those like, it's like wrapped around a core, but it has like that spiral like feature on the how it's wrapped. So that's one of those, and I just like used that. So yeah, didn't that turn out fun? Yay. So I might make bags for this quarter's prizes with these. That'd be fun. Or you're like, no, these are hideous and you only like them because you made them. You know, whatever. And then this one I love. This one kind of turned out goth. This one is cauliflower. That's the kind of like rusty burgundy-ish color. It's cauliflower. And then the black are the celery, but in a different height up the thing. So yeah, which I thought had fun. Sort of like black rose look to it. So yay! Isn't that fun? So I'm excited. I'm excited. It's always good to get pushed to do some things now and again. Well, for me it is anyway, because I need that push. And sometimes I just need to like be reminded that like I know that I can do things and not be good at them. Like I know that, and yet sometimes I still need to be reminded. Like, hey, you gotta do stuff and not be good at it for a while first. And like I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not great at this yet, but like it still can be fun and like be what it is and be interesting to me. And like that's okay. So yay. And then in stitching, so in stitching, but also books, I got this book from my library. It's called Quilting by Hand, and it is by Ryan Elise? I'm not sure. And I highly recommend, if your library has it, it's just beautiful to look at. Even if you're not at all interested in sewing something by hand, it's really just, it's got the matte paper texture. The color palette of the entire book is very cohesive and very soothing. She talks about the techniques of doing some, and she does not just one kind of hand quilting. She does do some like big stitch hand quilting. She does some like knots, like, you know, like your, like a older style quilt that's sometimes just knotted instead of being stitched, hand stitched across. She talks about piecing by hand. And the great thing about these patterns, she's got a section on sewing curves and preparing backing and basting. So she's got, let's see, the first 50-ish pages of the book are techniques. And then she even talks a little bit, there's one that uses an applique technique. She talks about that. She has a section on hand care, which I think is super rad. You don't see this as often as we probably should in most books that require a lot, or, you know, in most crafts that require a lot of repetitive hand motions, or, you know, might have ergonomic challenges. And so then she has projects, and the great thing about the projects is that they are perfectly suited to both hand piecing and hand quilting, or machine, whatever works for you. But like the pieces are quite big. So you can see her for scale. The pieces are quite large. And so hand piecing them would not be at all bananas. And then she shows you like her diagram that she used for her quilting. Oh my gosh, I love this one so much. Is this a better? I don't know, I think this is the better. This one is done with just like, I think like French knots instead of like full quilting. And like, I am not a big low contrast, like Zen kind of person, but aesthetically or personally, but boy, this one, I'm like, ooh, who can I make this for? This is gorgeous. So yeah, and most of the quilts she does kind of offer in 2 sizes. And she does talk in another part about how to kind of scale up. And I think that's how most of them are done. Like not, like lots of times when you see a quilt that's offered in like, let's say a throw and a twin size, the throw might have, you know, 81 blocks and the throw or the twin has 100. So like it'll just have more blocks. But I think what she does, from what I can see just at first glance, is that she scales up the size of the piece versus the number of blocks, so that it would like be the same exact look, but just in like you put it in a copy machine and blew it up instead of like adding pieces to it. But so it's so gorgeous. And the other lovely thing is she uses almost, from what I can see so far that I looked specifically, she's using all Robert Kaufman, either Essex linen or, oh, what's the other one? Brussels washer. So if you're really like, I love that, I am not great at substituting colors or figuring that part out, you can literally buy the same fabrics that she's using, because Robert Kaufman Brussels washer and Essex are pretty much available. They, you know, I'm sure at some points they go out of print, like in terms of like not being available, but they're generally available. So like, yeah, I just really like it. It's an experience, this little book. So I don't know that I would buy it for my own library, because my own library is getting banana pants big, but I do really like it. So again, that's Quilting by Hand, Handcrafted Modern Quilts and Accessories for You and Your Home by Riane, R-I-A-N-E, Elise. And it is very lovely. So I did finish my little stitching project. I'm going to make this into a bag of some sort. So this is the first time I've tried to do big stitching. And this would be much more closely quilted than I would ever do like a bigger piece. But I do like how it turned out texture-wise. And to be honest with you, I like this one, which was much easier, where I just did vertical lines. I think I like it more than I like this one, where I actually tried to do a different sort of stitch, like patterning on each little section. And I did that probably because I did not want to stitch over this block print. But yeah, I think I like this one better how it turned out. And this was much easier. Because like the thing that's nice about doing hand stitching and hand sewing is that it doesn't require you to think a lot. You know, you're just kind of like coloring with thread more so. Whereas this, I had to be like, oh, well, what am I going to do here? And like, okay, I got to do it different angles. And whereas this was much more pleasant for me to work on. And I also just like the way it looks better. So yay, there's that. And then well, I should probably not talk about that. I'll talk about that soon. I have a stitchery project that I want to start on, but it's a little bit different for me because okay, I'll just show you. House Wren Studio, who is Charlotte Lyons. I bought, this is just the printout from like the Etsy picture or whatever, because I bought the stitchery from her. It's like printed on just a white, like a traditional stitchery fabric. But she doesn't offer, and she explicitly says it, she doesn't offer you like stitching directions. She doesn't tell you like, oh, I use chain stitch here and buttonhole stitch here or whatever. She's just like, you know, you do you. But I am not good at you do you. I really like framework. And so I did print off her picture just to be like, oh, well, that's interesting. And then maybe I'll do that or maybe I won't. But isn't it just darling? And if you're interested, you can find her stuff on Etsy. She's got several different stitcheries that are available to be purchased. But so that's something I'm going to be working on soon, which looks like a fun summary sort of project. So yay. And then, did I not bring my knitting over? I brought some of it over. I'll show you my finished object. So this is my finished thermal, which is a free pattern available from, I believe, from Green Mountain Spinnery originally. And this is knit with Moon Rover Dye Works yarn, and she, as far as I know, she has not been producing yarn as of late, so can't copy me. But this is one of my favorite hats to knit. It is so enjoyable for me to knit, and I also really like wearing them. So hooray for hats. So yay. And it's like a slouchy, you pull it down in the back, or you could fold it up if that's what you prefer. But I did finish that. And then I've been working on my wrap that I am knitting based on the Brain Freeze cowl by, not in there, Brain Freeze, right? Boop, 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 doo, 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 doo. Okay, come on, let's work a little faster. I know you're in here. I thought you were in here. By the time I find you, I will remember the person's name. Stitch Nerd Designs. Oh my gosh, have I been saying it's for the wrong person? Okay, which is also Susan Ashcroft. I was like, that's not who I've been saying it's by. It was also Susan Ashcroft. So she has a cowl pattern. Some folks made it into a shawl as well. So if you prefer like a boomerang shape shawl, that is also available in the Same Stitch pattern, and she credits Susan Ashcroft. So that is called Freeze Shawl Pattern. And that is by, oh my Lord, Lisa Haynes. So I did, so one thing I really don't love about knitting wraps is that you're knitting a short row back and forth and it's a long piece. So lots of times what I'll do when it gets to be cumbersome is kind of like pin it into a shorter shape so I can more easily flip it around. But here it is so far. I really am enjoying how it's like nice, and how this solid yarn from Wabash Woolens is kind of like helping to mute out the color changes that are in this Lang cloud yarn. And yeah. So that's the only thing I don't like is like knitting wraps. Is that I really prefer a long row much more over a short row. Because there's just more reasons for me to stop when I'm knitting shorter rows. And so they always take me longer. But yeah, I'm very pleased with it. You want to see how fancy my tool is that I'm using to like hold everything in place? Okay, it's a number 5, 6-inch double point, and a hair elastic. And you just stab, kind of like so, right? And then you do this. And now, there you go. It also makes a very nice shawl pin if you need it. Actually, it does make a pretty shawl pin. It's like a very like, ooh, that's so nice and like simple and modern. And it's a hair tie and knitting needle. So, you know, pro tip. But I did leave my other knitting over there, which I'll be right back. Okay, so I am knitting the Aloft shawl, which is from 52 Weeks of Shawls. This is by Rebecca Berkompas, Berkompas. But I am knitting it, of course, not at all how I'm supposed to. So I'm following the pattern, but the pattern is written for a fingering weight yarn. I think she uses Tuku, Tuku, Tuku wool, which is a Finnish wool, which is lovely. But I am using something different. I am using, when I went to Cincinnati to help, just to help a few things with my grandparents' house, since they are no longer with us. And I finally stopped at Kimber's at Fiber Optic Yarn, and I accidentally spent every dollar there is. If you're not finding dollars out, that's my fault. I spent all of them at Kimber's. So, but one of the things I purchased was this gradient set. What does she call them? This is a 6-pack of cashmere, which is, they do an 80-10-10 MCN. 6 skeins, which are each 140 yards, 8 ounces total, 840 yards total. And this one is called Daydreamin'. And so this is the... But I'm holding it because I didn't have quite enough. The yarn requirements for this shawl, I believe it's in 3 sizes. By the way, if you're looking for an easy, an easy lace shawl, this is a great one. It is available in 3 sizes. It's shown in the 3rd size. And so it calls from anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 yards-ish of the fingering weight yarn. So of course I had 800 yards. And so I decided to hold it doubled with, I believe this is Webb's Southampton. I'm not entirely sure because the ball band was off, so it's possible it's Knit-Picks, but I'm pretty sure this one is the Webb's Southampton mohair silk. And so far, so I also added this one, a bit of this color too, because I wasn't sure if I would have enough to get I wanted a really big cozy shawl. It's a gift. And so I did use some of this to start out with, which is just like a Madeline Tosh paper or something like that. So you can kind of see it's just slightly less pink. So here it is. So far. Oh my goodness. The world is fighting me. And it also has an I-cord border. So isn't that lovely? So if you're looking for a pretty, this is definitely, I'm hesitant to say it's an easy lace project because if you've never knit lace, you're going to have to, it's going to take you a minute. But if you're experienced, this is a very relaxing one. It's got rest rows, so every other row is just a purl back row. And it's a very small repeat, so, and there's not a lot of variation in there's only 46 lines of the chart, and the repeat is only like 9 stitches, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Yeah, so the repeat's 9 stitches plus your edges that are growing. So yeah, it's very relaxing, and I love it because it's like, ooh, we'll just do it just a little bit more, so you're doing a grade a gradation of yarn color. And, you know, you're working, it's a little bit bigger because you're working with that mohair, which turns it kind of into a DK-ish, I think is what we're saying. But yeah, I'm knitting mine on 5s, I believe. Let me just double check. Yeah, US 5s. But I'm a very loose knitter. So, you know, take it with a grain of salt. But I'm very pleased with it so far. Yeah. Oh! And it does have a bobble. Just one bobble per 46 rows. Well, you know, one bobble row per 46 rows. But yeah, that's so enjoyable. So that's all my knitting. Okay, oops, I forgot to show you something. I was putting my other stuff away. I was like, oh! I was given a skein of hedgehog fibers, and they're skinny singles, I think is what it is. And this was like a fade set. I mean, it wasn't a fade set that I received, but it was like part of a fade set, so it's not a repeatable colorway. But isn't it just... And then I had this skein of Madeline Tosh singles that I bought from Simply Sock Yarn more than a minute ago, I'm pretty sure. And I was just wanting something bright and like poo for, I don't know, just to kind of get me out of a rut. I've just not been feeling as motivated to get knitting done, and so I was like, let's just mix it up. So I found this pattern. It's called the Uneven Surface Cowl, and it's by Dolly Bardwaj, and it's very fun. So it is like a, well, here, I'll just show it to you. So here is what I will probably use as the wrong side. It's like, you know, a fun pleated, right? But the fun comes on the inside, and this is how she has it pictured, where you get to have, you're using alternating rows of this case of this color to get the pleating. So you have this like fun sort of honeycomb-ish texture on the stockinette side, where your fun yarn kind of pops out. And you can do it with a much higher contrast if you want more of like a, well, if you want more contrast, you could use a higher contrast. But I thought it was very charming, and I've been wanting to use these two yarns together, but I didn't want to do a shawl necessarily. So this one is written for worsted or DK, I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty sure it's written for DK. So I just doubled up. I just am using my yarns doubled, 2 strands of the orange, 2 strands of the hedgehog. Isn't that fun? And she has great, she has the pattern written so that it's easy to go down and catch the loop that you need to make the pleating effect. She has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pictures of what it should look like. And she has a video link for it, but I like to sometimes just have the pictures so that I'm not constantly looking. But you'll figure it out like after the first time you do it. You know, maybe the next repeat of it you'll have to just kind of look back. But you've got like a bunch of rest rows in between, so you're only doing that like folding and picking up stitch once in every 11 rows, I think. So it's very enjoyable. Okay, I forgot another thing. I forgot to tell you, my friend who's Tangerine Designs, did she make laser cut like Pac-Man and Ghosty stitch markers? Yes, she did. They are so cute. As soon as I saw them on Instagram, I was like, bye. Casey, I really need a Ms. Pac-Man though, also. Because when I was a kid and my mom and her husband at the time hung out at the Empress Chili. Are you from Cincinnati? Do you remember Empress Chili? 20 years ago, there was like one left in northern Kentucky, but there used to be a lot more of them. This is in the Cincinnati chili tradition, if you don't know about them. Now that's pretty much just Skyline and Gold Star. I forgot Gold Star because it's not, doesn't count. It's only Skyline. Except for one Gold Star I ate at in, oh, what is that place in Indiana that's like the casino town? I ate at a Gold Star there once, and it was amazing. It tasted like Indian food. It was delicious. But anyway, they used to have other, and there still are sort of some like mom and pop place, but not very many. But Empress Chili used to have a Ms. Pac-Man machine. So my mom and her friends would play Uno or I'm sure they were playing cards, but I remember Uno for some reason. Maybe because if I was going to play, it was going to be Uno, but they were probably playing Rummy or something. But anyway, there was a Ms. Pac-Man machine, and I love to play Ms. Pac-Man. And I am so bad at it. I don't know how much money I wasted. I'm really sorry, Mom. I'm not sure. I'm sure it was a lot. Whatever, it was probably still less than... You know what? I don't know that it would be less than a babysitter. But as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh! I've tried to play Ms. Pac-Man so many times as an adult. I am horrible at it. Like, horrible. Like, if, something happens cosmically and I am playing at my absolute best, I haven't even gotten to the pineapple board in probably, 20 years. So I don't even know. I can't even make it past, 3 boards. The pretzel board. Oh, now I want a pretzel. Anyway. All right, back to the podcast. And let's see. Oh, I have shameless self-promotion, and then we'll say goodbye. So if you don't want to hang out for shameless self-promotion, I hear you. You're like, dude, there's no dollars. You spend them all. I know. I told you I did. But in case you had some reserves of dollars that I did not find to spend at Fiber Optic, because I did buy some other things. It was actually a situation where I told my child to go to the front of the store so they would not hear the total. I was like, I don't need you to know. So if you don't, that's fine. And I'll talk next time. But if you want to stick around, I'm going to have an update April 15th. These will be ready to go. So they'll be all available to ship out. And this is what I have. I have a spring thing for you. So I have this beautiful gardening print. Right? It's got the ochre zipper. So exciting. This is great. It's on a denim from Spoonflower. So I have it in both the large wedge and the sweater size. And I just love it. I love the teal with it. Oh, it's just all so enjoyable. And then I also have a lovely human sent me some fabric. Oh my goodness, it's been a couple of years ago now, hasn't it? I think so. And I've just been you just look at something but I decided to make bags with it. And it is so lovely. So this isn't this great? It's like a lightweight canvas, and I did interface it just so it would have some extra body. So it's got a padded interfacing. But isn't it beautiful? Oh, it's so enjoyable. So I made these in the sweater size and also in the big Aran sweater size. So, great for 4 to 5 skeins. Great for, whatever giant thing you're doing. Blankets, big people sweaters, whatevs. Right. And it has such a beautiful hand. It's very enjoyable. I almost wonder if it has some linen in it. And it probably, you know what? I should have looked. It probably has some linen in it. But it has a beautiful hand. So I think you'll be really pleased with them. They're just lovely. So hopefully I see you at Greencastle this year. Okay. I think that's all of my insanity. Gus agrees. Mom, it's time for you to be done. Okay. I hope the spring is finding you. If you're in the Southern Hemisphere, I hope you are excited as can be about fall. But I'm pretty excited about spring. Who am I? When I visited my friend in Berea, I'm in Indianapolis, so Berea is, it's just south of Lexington, Kentucky, which is just 1 state away. But it was so fun because, you just don't remember that things, because, when you drive there in the summer, it looks the same here as it looks there. But when you're driving during a season change, like it was really lovely to be driving and see more like bushes budding out. And then we took a walk on her campus and like all of the bulbs were out. Like they had a babillion tulips and they were all gorgeous and like grape hyacinths everywhere. And it was just so lovely. So I hope you are enjoying it. I hope you find some beautiful flowers to look at and enjoy. Yeah. Okay. I'll tell you next time. Bye.